Let's start with the obvious. I'm using a throwaway account and I've modified some specifics for anonymity. My name is Sarah, 38F, and this has been building for years. What happened at Thanksgiving was simply the match tossed into a powder keg. Let me explain. Growing up, our family wasn't particularly warm, but we were functional. My parents were present enough. Dad took me fishing a couple of times. Mom helped with homework when she wasn't too tired. I was an only child until I turned 8. Then came the night Aunt Kelly showed up at 2 a.m. telling me to pack a bag because Mom was in the hospital. Rachel, my sister, wasn't supposed to arrive for another 2 months. Her birth came with complications, and for the next few weeks, it felt like the world revolved around tubes, hushed hospital conversations, and antiseptic smells. When Rachel came home, it was like our house had transformed into a hospital wing. Germophobia ruled, rooms smelled of bleach, hand sanitizers lined every surface, and the rules were strict. If I so much as sneezed, I was banished to Grandma Marie's or Aunt Kelly's. At first, it seemed like a fun adventure. Grandma baked cookies, and Aunt Kelly had an impressive collection of Nancy Drew books. But kids aren't stupid. Over time, I realized it wasn't about fun. It was about containment. I was seen as a biological threat. That's when the wall between me and the rest of my family began to rise quietly, invisibly. I tried so hard to win their affection in the right way. Straight A's, science fair victories, piano recitals. But Rachel always came first. When I was 12, after months of practicing Bridge Over Troubled Water for the school talent show, Rachel had a slight fever, 99.1 reals degree Fahrenheit. The entire family skipped my performance. 2 weeks later, everyone, grandparents included, showed up for her 10-minute hot cross buns flute recital. By age 7, Rachel had outgrown her medical issues, but the system never adjusted. A headache? She got to stay home. A test stressing her out? Mom called the school to reschedule it. Meanwhile, I became invisible. I built my identity in the shadows, where I couldn't be accused of taking attention from her. I buried myself in books, especially ones about art, history, and antiques. Rachel claimed to be allergic to my lavender air freshener, so my room became a private sanctuary. Grandma Marie nurtured that interest. She let me sort and catalog her vintage costume jewelry, unknowingly giving me a skill set that would shape my future. The most damaging part wasn't even the favoritism. It was the gaslighting. I was told I was so independent that I understood Rachel's needs, but I didn't. I was a child. And I had no idea why being healthy made me less worthy of love. High school became my escape plan. While Rachel dominated middle school drama club and cheer tryouts, I organized my life down to color-coded notes. I joined every club that didn't interfere with my job at Carson's Diner. Thank you, Carol, for remembering my birthday when my own parents forgot. I aced the SAT's perfect score. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Michigan. Full ride offers. I stored every acceptance letter in a locked box under my bed so Rachel wouldn't sabotage them. I chose the University of Michigan. No one cared. That same week, Rachel made JV cheer. The family celebrated at Olive Garden. I ate microwave mac and cheese alone. On move-in day, my parents were too busy with Rachel's cheer competition. Aunt Kelly drove me. Grandma Marie gave me $500, saved from her Social Security checks. That night, alone in my dorm, I cried not from sadness, but relief. I graduated summa cum laude. My parents missed it. They were helping Rachel transfer to her third college in 2 years. Then everything changed. My first job was at a prestigious auction house in Detroit. Name changed for privacy. I started cataloging estate sales, nothing glamorous, but it paid rent. Then came the Kingston estate. One piece caught my eye, in Art Deco brooch everyone assumed was fake. I knew better. Thanks to hours spent with Grandma Marie, I spotted the hallmarks. After weeks of research and a crash course in gemology, I convinced my boss to let me verify it. The costume jewelry sold for $47,000. That brooch changed my life. I gained trust. I climbed ranks. I authenticated rare pieces no one else could spot. Commissions rolled in. Still, my family called it Sarah's Little Antique Shop. 2 years in, the Rothschild estate came through. I identified a lost piece from a WWI-era French collection. It sold for $238,000. That's when my boss told me, "You're wasting your talent here. Start your own firm." So I did. I maxed out my credit card, rented a tiny office above a Chinese restaurant, bought a $5 folding table and a chair I found on the curb, and I built something incredible. My first job was at a prestigious auction house in Detroit, name changed for privacy. I started cataloging estate sales, nothing glamorous, but it paid rent. Then came the Kingston estate. One piece caught my eye, an Art Deco brooch everyone assumed was fake. I knew better. Thanks to hours spent with Grandma Marie, I spotted the hallmarks. After weeks of research and a crash course in gemology, I convinced my boss to let me verify it. The costume jewelry sold for $47,000. That brooch changed my life. I gained trust. I climbed ranks. I authenticated rare pieces no one else could spot. Commissions rolled in. Still, my family called it Sarah's little antique shop. 2 years in, the Rothschild estate came through. I identified a lost piece from a WWE-era French collection. It sold for $238,000. That's when my boss told me, "You're wasting your talent here. Start your own firm." So I did. I maxed out my credit card, rented a tiny office above a Chinese restaurant, bought a $5 folding table and a chair I found on the curb, and I built something incredible. I became the name in vintage jewelry authentication. Estate lawyers, private collectors, auction houses. Within 5 years, I had offices in 3 cities, hired employees, was quoted in Forbes. My net worth quietly passed $12 million. And my family still thought I sold trinkets. Every Sunday, I visit in a discount Target sweater, actually cashmere, listening to Rachel boast about her marketing job. She wore a Michael Kors watch. I wore a $50,000 vintage Patek Philippe. No one noticed. To help out, I began sending my parents $5,000. Month anonymous later bumped to $7,000 when Rachel decided to go back to school for her MBA. They assumed I was sacrificing for the family. Rachel took credit. She vacationed in Italy. I remained silent. Until Thanksgiving. Mom called, overwhelmed with herniated disc pain. I offered to handle dinner, high-end catering, top-tier wine, the works. They thought it was from Trader Joe's. I let them believe it. Then Rachel barged into my old room looking for a charger. She saw my laptop. My screen had real-time figures from a Hong Kong auction, current account balances, and a client transaction worth over $1 million. She smirked, thinking she'd caught me doing something shady. Instead, she paraded my laptop into the dining room, intending to humiliate me and expose the truth. $12.4 million, quarterly profits, high-profile clients. The room fell silent. Mom laughed until she didn't. "You have millions, and you let us struggle," she said. I reminded her I'd sent $7,000 every month for years. Her response, "Rachel has student loans." That was it. I snapped. "You missed every award, every competition, every birthday. I raised myself while you poured everything into Rachel. And now I owe you more?" I left, took my Hermes bag, which Mom once called a great knockoff, and drove home in my understated BMW. My phone exploded with calls, texts, Facebook rants from Rachel about secret millionaires in the family. Mom's messages escalated from guilt trips to entitlement. 7:42 p.m., "How dare you walk out on family?" 9:03 p.m., "Your sister deserves a share." 11:45 p.m., "Why aren't you answering? This is your mother." Rachel posted rants online, calling me selfish and cold. Distant relatives I hadn't seen in years demanded handouts. Cousins I hadn't spoken to since high school suddenly remembered how close we were. I haven't spoken to any of them since. Epilogue. I moved cities, changed numbers. Aunt Kelly knows how to reach me, and she's the only one who still does. Grandma Marie passed 2 years ago. I kept one piece of her costume jewelry on she said looked real enough to be worn by a queen. Turns out, it was. I wear it on bad days. Now, I run a business I love, surrounded by people who respect me for what I've built, not what I can give them. To the little girl who once got sent away for sneezing, you made it. and you never needed their permission to shine.